The 100 Embroideries Project is a project that I took on at the beginning of the year with the hope of sparking my creativity up and pushing myself to create 100 new embroideries ahead of my next solo exhibition. Why did I choose 100? I think I just thought it was a good, well-rounded number. I knew 100 pieces was going to be a real challenge for me, but I was also really excited by the prospect of that challenge, and I wanted to set myself a task that was unlike anything that I had ever done before. In terms of what I was actually going to create, naturally I knew I had to create small pieces because the work is still labor intensive. So I set myself a size. I wanted the final artworks to measure 20 by 20 centimeters once they were framed. So the embroideries themselves would have to fit comfortably within that size. And I knew that I wanted to work with a combination of circular designs and also free-form designs. Circular designs is something that I come back to again and again in my work. I think I just love the shape of a circle, and also I think it relates to the fact that I work in an embroidery hoop when I stitch, so it feels very natural to me. So I wanted to alternate between circular designs and then more free-form designs. So if you view the whole series in a grid format, you will see that pattern, circle, free-form, the whole way through. When it came about choosing ideas for subject matter for these 100 pieces, it really was exciting for me because I could draw from so many areas. There's certain subject matter that I'm very comfortable with, that I work with a lot and that I love. Things like coral and leaf structures and some certain shells. And those definitely made their way into the series. They were my comfortable starting points. And you'll actually see a lot of those pieces spread out throughout the 100 pieces. But this project also allowed me to explore completely new subject matter, things that I normally wouldn't touch or wouldn't even have the chance to explore. For example, I have a little bird in this series. I also have a butterfly. These are things that I would probably never have made if it wasn't for this project. A great thing about this task is because I had to create so many pieces and within such a short period of time, it actually took a lot of pressure off the pieces that I was making, because I just had to make without thinking so much and so hard about what I was making. I just had to sit down and create something so that I could release a piece on time to keep on schedule with the project. And often some of the more experimental pieces, or the pieces that were working in a totally new and different direction for me, have turned out to be some of my favorite pieces in the whole series. Some of my greatest challenges of working with this project, first of all, being such a big project, having that deadline, having that push to keep producing new work sometimes felt tricky. There were, of course, things that happened this year that slowed me down. COVID-19, of course, happened in the middle of this project, and we all went into lockdown, and I couldn't get into the studio, so I took over the kitchen table with my sewing machine in an attempt to keep up with the pieces. That was a bit tough for a while, but we sort of made it work, and I did eventually catch back up again. Also coming up with new ideas all the time. That was a really fun part of the project, but also sometimes a bit stressful. I took to carrying a sketchbook around with me everywhere. I have this little moleskin that is just full of sketched ideas for this project. And that's been a really great little tool. So if I'm not actually physically in the studio making work, I'm generally thinking about new designs or sketching new designs in that little book. And most of the designs in that book made their way into the project somewhere. I also went back to some of my old sketchbooks that I haven't touched for years, and teased out little sketches and design ideas that I thought I'd shelved and put away. This project allowed me to pull them out of the archives and to bring them to life finally. So it was really, really great for me to do that. And no, I don't think I ever did run out of ideas as a result. There were a few pieces that I made that I wasn't really happy with, that I feel weren't as strong as other pieces. They're still in the series. See if you can figure out which ones they are. But I think it's really important to have the pieces that aren't quite as strong in there with the really strong pieces. It's really important to see the whole journey, and that's what this project was all about. It wasn't always about creating perfect pieces that I loved every single time. It was just about creating and exploring and doing new things. One challenge I did find with the series was it wasn't just about creating 100 pieces. I had to create 100 pieces that worked together as a series because they were all going to be exhibited together at the end. And I knew I wanted them to be exhibited in chronological order, in the order that I created them and in the order that I released them. Throughout this whole year, I have been releasing these pieces, one every couple of days on my social media, so people can kind of keep up with what I've been creating. And it's always been a bit of a balancing game. I didn't want to just create a whole heap of coral pieces, for example, and have them all clumped together in one part of the series. I needed to make sure that I stretched that out and varied the subject matter within the series. I've also tried to balance color, although I've used lots of different colors, and this has been a wonderful project to explore the full rainbow. Sometimes the full rainbow is in an individual piece. I've always tried to balance it so there's not a cluster of red or a whole section that's missing a blue, and that really influenced what I was making as the series progressed, and often kind of limited me because it wasn't always about just creating a new piece. I had to create a blue circular piece to fit in that spot of the series as the whole series was developing. So it was this constant juggling act, but also one that I found really satisfying. I also found it really satisfying to see the project come together as it kept building, and particularly towards the end when I sort of felt like I was maybe running out of ideas and trying to make the whole series work and to be balanced. It was just so good to make those last few pieces. I think when I finished that 100th piece, I did have a little dance party around my studio on my own because it was just such a good feeling. I've never taken on a project like this before. I've never created this many pieces for one exhibition before, so it has been hugely satisfying for myself, and I'm so excited to see them all together in one place. That is such a treat for me. So will I do anything like this again? I don't know. I think this project has really made me look at my practice and how I like to work and reevaluate that. It's brought a lot more spontaneity back to my practice, a lot more fun and experimentation. I have been doing this kind of embroidery for 14 or 15 years now. You know, I know it so well. I do still enjoy it, but I do find myself getting kind of caught into little traps of ways that I like to work and things that I like to create. So this project that forced me to work quickly and with new ideas just made me feel like I was going back to the beginning again, back when it was exciting and it was playful and I was discovering new things. And it's really reignited my passion for this type of work, which I don't know if that would have happened if I hadn't have taken on this project. In saying that, I'm also now really excited about getting back and making some bigger things, going back to some of those slower embroideries that I'm working with for a long time, rather than always working in this small scale. I'm really excited about creating big substantial work again, but I'm also really happy with the 100 Embroideries Project series, and I'm really proud of it.